Satan, Lucifer, Belial, Leviathan, Samael.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. Happy Halloween to you. I have a very special guest tonight, Orlee Stewart, the Cyber Witch. Orlee, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be able to celebrate Halloween with you.
I like your outfit. Tell us about that.
Thank you. Yeah, my outfit is a character called Asuka from an anime that's called Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's about these characters who go into fighting robots that are like these giant monsters that help save the world against these angel monsters. And it's full of a lot of really interesting occult symbolism.
Well, the band Ghost has Papa Emeritus, and tonight I'm Papa Demeritus. So,
Love that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Nowhere close to that, but hey, that's okay. So I had you on the show not too long ago. Well, it's been a couple of years ago now. What have you been up to?
Oh my goodness. I have been going through a lot of alchemy in my spiritual path. I've developed a lot of different things in my studies with the infernal spirits and also deepen my studies in experimenting with human energy and how that helps us to contact preternatural realms, including contact from alien extraterrestrial forces, and how all of that works into magic and occultism, as well as I have been going through pretty intensive training as a yoga teacher from a teacher who is an Agori. And so I've been learning a lot about the different limbs of yoga, which aren't, of course, just like the asanas, which is the physical stretching, but all the other aspects of yoga, like meditation, mantras, going into trances, the overall spiritual work that you do every day, and then applying that into my own particular tantric practice as well, and working with the incubus and succubus spirits. So one of the things that I'm most excited about that I put out over the past little while is I have been developing methods to conjure incubus and succubus spirits through different historical figures' work where they were particularly interested in how these intelligences can not only be with us as a companion, but they also give us access into other realms, other dimensions, and heighten our spiritual awareness, our psychic abilities, and our overall experience in this physical world around us in a deep and spiritual way. And so I put together all my methods that I developed over the years into a course that I have on my website, and it's been helping people learn how to conjure their own spirit companions using these methods that involve a whole bunch of different infernal spirits, but in particular with Asmodeus and the brides of Samael. And I'm really excited about how people have been able to learn from the system and how it's helped people take this understanding of the phenomena of incubus and succubus spirits and apply it into research I've done, because there's a lot of different types of spirits that have the phenomena of incubus and succubus. but there's so many different kinds of spirits that can behave in this manner. So it was really about figuring out what all the different types of spirits are, and then how to conjure and create beautiful devotional practices and systems of erotic magic to conjure these spirits and have them help you in your life. So that's one of the things that I'm the most excited about for sure.
So, how did you zero in on the exact spirits to contact?
That's a great question. Yeah. Well, I didn't ever start getting into the incubus and succubus magic on purpose. It began when I first started experimenting with the Ars Goetia from the Lemegeton about 15 years ago, before we really had this discourse online of what all the different demons do and how they behave. And it was really uncharted territory where myself and my friends, we were just finding these grimoires and doing the rituals and experimenting and seeing what they would do without even knowing other people to converse about this. And I had experiences where one of the demons, Prince Siri, came to me as an incubus spirit and started teaching me about this type of spiritual experience where you can have essentially astral visions through interacting with them in their energy transfer. And that also helps to develop your psychic abilities in that way. And then the other spirits just they come to me, and that's how I try to approach everything in life, is following these mystical synchronicities where the spirits themselves will just come into me in my life. Like I'll just start thinking about it, or I'll start having signs or omens about the spirit, and then just seeing and experimenting with what worked and what didn't over time.
Nice. Very nice. And you
Thank you.
used to live in my hometown, New Orleans, and you've recently moved. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yes. So New Orleans is a very wonderful and magical place. However, it is a very hard place to live for a number of reasons. The crime there becomes very stressful for me. And a huge part of my spiritual practice is doing things like meditation and yoga and stuff where I really need it to be like really quiet and peaceful. So that's why I really am enjoying living in the Ozarks and really flourishing out here. Plus, I get to see bats all the time because they come out of the caves. And there's also, of course, like the whole mystical aspect of the caves and like the tunnels to the center of the earth and everything, which is really cool to be near.
So, is there a left path scene there? Is there one?
Probably not where I live. I definitely Uh, I would say like where I live, it's rare to even see houses that have Halloween decorations. So not really. Yeah.
Are you in the proverbial Bible Belt? That,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
that,
So that's been a very interesting experience for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
But people are genuinely pretty nice
Are
as
they?
long as you're kind. So yeah,
Yeah. I find that people are they're interested sometimes, but they're held back by some of their preconceived notions. But they're actually fairly nice people if you get past the, you know, what they have as far as prejudice.
absolutely. Yeah.
And you are a full-time witch, correct? You offer
Yeah.
services. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Oh, sure. So I do a lot of different types of witch related things. So I do rituals for people. So the incubus and succubus rituals, sometimes people want me to do it for them. I do that. I particularly focus on rituals that bring in like good things and good vibes, because I as in my tantric practice, I'm very much about like what energy am I bringing in around me in my life. And if I'm doing work for people, I want it to be like good kind of vibes. I do a lot of protection work for people, clearing stuff away, that kind of stuff. And like I've done all different kinds of spellcraft through my life for people, including malefic stuff. But I now know it's just not for me to do because I prefer to focus on these kind of energies that I like having around me. And then I also do a lot of work as a tarot reader for people as well. And I really like doing that because it helps people so much. And then I also do a lot of work providing counsel to people that have spiritual, paranormal experiences that they don't understand, that they need help with. A lot of people that are having a very dark time spiritually, like if they're lost, I help them get through things and figure out a plan or how to get into like spiritual shape, as it were, which coincides with my training as a yoga teacher. So I'm in the process of getting certified in traditional hatha yoga with an emphasis in Tantra and esoteric Gnosticism. So all of those things go together because I've studied a lot of different types of occultism through my life, and it's about figuring out what works for people. And what gives me the most purpose is being able to help people and share messages to people from the psychic experiences that I have, where like I receive downloads of messages. All that comes through when I do tarot readings for people or just really anything all the time. And the cool thing about having this as my job is it never turns off. So um, it requires a lot of work for me to be able to maintain this. So that means I have to take every aspect of my life in a spiritual sense. So, like, I have to really be careful about my diet. I have to stay healthy. I take a lot of vitamins through the day, making sure that I'm just taking care of my physical vehicle to handle uh, all this kind of work that I do. And I think that's something that a lot of people really need to consider because the world needs healers and witches and people to share their gifts with the world, like especially at this time when we are going through this big shift in consciousness. Everyone who has these gifts should be sharing it with people. But one thing that people might not realize is it takes a lot of your energy to do any kind of like spiritual work or even just talking about magic. It's giving that energy, and our energy is like our currency in life. So you have to do things to help build up your life force to be able to extend that into anything that you're doing as well, and to really take that seriously because it can get super draining really fast and you might not even realize uh, how far you get and then become sick even from using too much of your energy too.
So we have spoken together about a change, like a change in the age. I guess a change in reality. Do you feel that change? And if so, how does it manifest to you?
Yes. So the change is that we're referring to is a phenomenon that has been going across the internet known as the Great Awakening. And this is something that is very real because the earth is being affected by a lot of different shifts in frequencies to help people move into new phases of human evolution and consciousness. And this also totally coincides with things like technology as a spiritual technology as well, um, and how we have to raise our own energetic frequencies to be able to withstand the changing of energies that are going on in the world. And this sounds kind of out of left field to some people, but other people, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Through time, the world has been inhabited by a lot of different alien races, and they have been in constant battle over who is controlling the world. And this, when we look at like spirits, that all is essentially alien in some regard. If people were to ask me, like, in my practices that come from left hand path Hinduism, do I think that the Hindu entities are like aliens in another dimension? I will say yes. I do think that. So that's just an example of where I'm getting at here. So the Earth is at a point where those of us who are able to understand what's going on, where more what's going on is more and more people are becoming awakened to there being more to reality than just like wake up, go to work, watch your TV, eat your dinner, and then go to bed. That there's like a spiritual reality that exists, and we have been enslaved to just become part of this like machine, basically, that just farms off of our energy. And it's like these, in Gnosticism, we look at it as like the archonic forces are feeding off of human suffering from being sad, sick, angry, all these problems that people have is being fed off of. So what's happening is that the humans that are able to understand what's going on. So, like, our energetic frequencies becoming aware of the spiritual reality, which, like, we are already there. Um, that is growing. And so it's something that's heightening even more now as technology advances along with us. And I have contacts in people that are in the know of things that go on with like the inner occultists that are connected to what's going on in the world. And this is very much aligned with helping humanity to be able to actually grow because the earth has so many problems. And this is the thing is, this is nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of time. There have always been ages where humanity rises to a certain point and then it either like falls or it expands and grows. And like we see this in the Renaissance, all these other times, right? Like humans discovering fire, all these great shifts. And so we are on the precipice of so much more that people don't even know about. And this includes things like technology that has been hidden from the mainstream, like only some very few people know about it, things that are like classified, that exists and has existed for a very long period of time. Those things are going to start coming out more. It's really going to change the world, and that changes everyone's energetic frequency because that's what we are. We're like bodies of energies. And if we look at ourselves like that and how that interacts with the spiritual ecosystem around us, that shifts when our environment shifts. That shifts when our ability to heal ourselves better shifts, or live longer shifts, or have access to other dimensions more easily shifts. And even things like people's perception of what is real and what is not real shifts. All those kind of things are growing with the amazing advancement of technology through our ability to communicate on the internet. So when I talk about the Great Awakening, that's what I'm talking about.
Do you feel that this is preordained, or is this something that is being brought about by those beyond the veil?
I do, because time is not linear. Time kind of like spirals in on itself. And as witches, we work outside of linear time. And this is why we can do things like contact our past lives, or see into the future, because time itself is not linear. And it is out, like, we have free will, but ultimately, like, especially when you get deep into tantra, it's like, yes, we have our free will, but maybe it's our free will to do that ritual. It's our free will to do that spell, to like make those choices, and things are overall outside of our control, which is like kind of like a nice, more relaxing feeling. You're like, okay, like it's okay. Like I don't have to try to control and micromanage everything in reality. The main idea behind it is just like to keep your energy level at a higher frequency so you can be strong and help as many people and animals as you can with what you do in your life. And just be really aware of like your energy and the energy of what's going on around you, because we are living in a reality that's designed to trigger us, to make us feel in different ways. So our energy is essentially like fed upon by the machine that continues to enslave us.
So, what part do you think the establishment or those in power play in this? Or is this happening without their control? Are they along for the ride?
So yes, we are all along for the ride. That's the best way to look at it. We are on YouTube, of course, so there's certain things that like I can't really get into about that. But what I would say is that um we're all along for the ride. These things are not anything new. Like this has been going on since the beginning of time, these shifts and rises and falls and changes and shifts in humanity, in order for us to get to the next pinnacle of evolution in humanity. So with that, empires rise and fall. And we are what I can say is that we're seeing a lot of new things come up in the media about all kinds of horrible and terrible things that the like the celebrities that run the world and things like that are doing. And so that's all part of it, like all these things coming out so humanity can be aware of what's going on.
Interesting. So, do you think after this transition that people are going to embrace this? Do you think that they're going to be more enlightened, or will they fall back into their normal uh, de-enlightened state?
Well, when humanity shifts to what we have in terms of like advancement in technology, the old normal way of things being is just going to be completely changed. But the thing is that unfortunately, not everyone is going to be able to handle that. So, a big part of what's hard about the shifts is that a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle that. Like, for example, let's say they came out with like, okay, aliens are real and they're here right now, or something like that, right? Most people would go like all crazy. They wouldn't want that to be the reality. So it's like that kind of idea of that big of shifts where some people are going to be able to handle things, some people are not. But this has been going on um through through history, like in like Vedic scriptures, they call this the Kali Yuga, which is like the dark age, essentially, where we're at this point where humanity is at its lowest point, the furthest point away from enlightenment. But then what comes after that is like the brightest time. So that's a big aspect of the shifting of energies. That's like a cycle that's always been going on. So it's like it's a very exciting time for us to be alive. And a lot of the terminology that I use in my channel, in regards to this, like I I use the terminology the chosen ones, and there's a lot of people on YouTube that make videos kind of about this idea. The idea behind the chosen ones, and this is really important for me to talk about because the idea is it no one is saying that anyone is better than anyone else. It has to do with what is going on inside of you and what your energy is maintaining and doing. So, for the chosen ones, it can be very difficult for us because we're aware of other dimensions. We're essentially like living in a different world as witches among the normies, right? And so it can be very hard for us, but it's our purpose to be like that, like a the event horizon of spirituality that just kind of pours out of us as an example to people about like the light of Lucifer into the world for us to shine among all the darkness, and that's hard. It's not an easy existence for us to have, but um, with most of us, it's like we were born feeling some kind of really important sense of purpose, but not knowing what it is. And like you find this a lot in like even in the UFO community and like the star seed kind of idea, right? Where like like there's more to things and you have these experiences and maybe you do have extraterrestrial DNA as part of you, and maybe you do have other incarnations of yourself that exist in other dimensions or in alien worlds, and that is real. So it's very difficult to exist in a world that tells you, especially in our modern Western world, that those things aren't real. In other cultures, it is real, but that's not what we're experiencing. So it creates like this very harsh awakening for people. So some people are going to be able to handle it, some people are not, but our purpose is to really be open now to the messages of what is going on in our literal everyday reality. So, what my contact, who's like really deep in the like occult elite, has me try to share with people is we really need to be open to witnessing the message from Lucifer that's all around us, which is that reality itself can communicate to us if we are aware of paying attention to the synchronicities of what is going on, where like you can literally be thinking about something and doing something. And if you're perceiving reality in a very deep spiritual way, where you have combated the desacralization of everything in our mundane world and you see everything as a spiritual experience, reality itself starts to communicate to you. And that actually helps guide you to even make your life better. Like, this is how I was able to get so much healthier and get out of situations where things were just getting really out of hand in my life. And it was not things that I wanted to be part of or didn't believe in. Like it's because the world is very sick. It has so many problems. There's a lot of really messed up people, and everything is just geared toward trying to make people like fight one another all the time. So a big part of it is like realizing that every day we are in a spiritual battle every day. And what are we going to do to break out of the machine that's trying to just literally like control us through our senses and our emotions, and to try to see beyond that. And that's one of the main things that I study in my training as a yoga teacher, is like how to break out of that like reality matrix, I suppose.
Nice. I want to ask you, I was reading an article that was talking about it, it kind of it created I guess a premise that people had lived before and they destroyed themselves through this negative energy. In other words, it was like ants being put together and shaken, and it seems to be cyclical over time, um, all the way back to Atlantis, and even the great technologies like the pyramids. I mean, these things required special education, I guess, or at least more advanced calculations, and they had to have some kind of specialized tools to actually do that work. How do you think that that is a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that I'm very deeply interested in, actually. I'm really interested in Atlantis, in Shambhala, all of those stories about these hidden ancient civilizations where they have these advanced technologies. And I definitely can understand to a certain extent from my own personal contacts with extraterrestrials, which I do believe are how we were able to develop these things, because that's like how the spirits teach us stuff. Because uh, a contact with an alien entity doesn't need to be like they're coming in a ship. Like they can come inside of your soul, like they can communicate into your dream. And so they teach people things. And there is the ability to channel information that comes from other dimensions to get access to technologies beyond ours. And then, of course, also there is a technology which is our own life force energy. And that can actually be used for so many different things. Like when I first started working on my meditation practices and my yoga, I kept accidentally turning my television on with my life force energy, and I had to move it into a different room. And things like that. So like that's just an example. Like obviously that's not trying to power a ship or something, but or move technology, but that kind of power that we have, like telekinesis, uh, these things are real. And then, of course, there's all these like secretive programs that involve this stuff all over through history across the world, and all of that is connected into those technologies. And so like it's very easy for me to be really fascinated by that as well, for sure.
I know those things are real. She explained it as something that she has had her whole life. She could take a candle and she could light it from across the room, and she could extinguish it and then relight it. And I mean, there was no wind. I was right there. So I know those things exist. I wish I had the power for that. Unfortunately, I don't. But how do you develop these special, are they gifts from the very beginning, or is there a way, a mechanism that you can use to develop these things?
Yes. So in my studies, what the yogis believe is that if you live in a life where you've trained a lot spiritually, you can be born with having things come easier to you in your next life. So, but this is something that every person has access to, if they put forth discipline to work on growing it. So, one big part of it is allowing yourself to have just times of silence, which can be really hard in this day and age, like to just even have that, like periods of silence in deep meditation, and working on exercises that help develop your visualization skills and your ability to psychically connect to preternatural intelligences. So, doing things like work with different spirits and entities like that helps open you up to developing your own personal energy. But even simply doing things like working on your chakras and doing meditations that help clear out your chakras and to strengthen your own body, even through things like physical exercise. Because if you have a healthier body, it's going to make it easier for you to have stronger energy. And that's also why yoga, even like the asanas, like the stretching poses in yoga are really helpful, because what they do is they clear out negative energy from your body, and it makes your own energy field much stronger. So that way, if you are trying to contact a spirit, it would be easier for you to sense spirits around you, or for you to be in a more peaceful state of mind so you can notice what's going on around you as well. A big part of it is paying attention to all of the things that your senses take in through the day. So, like all the stuff that you hear through the day, and like think about how that affects you and how that makes you feel. And then doing what you can to mitigate that. Or like if you are in really stressful situations that you can't avoid, to make sure that you prioritize finding time where you can sit calmly in quiet meditation, maybe with a candle, working on just being able to go inward and explore there, because that is something that people have a very hard time doing, and it's not easy to do by any means. It typically takes the central nervous system at least like 20 to 30 minutes to even calm down. And then when you're doing things like meditation, to really reach like a deep level of meditation, like through tantric practices, for example, like to reach samadhi state, often that will take people like an hour of meditation if you're new to this, before you start having like a spiritual experience while you're doing it, because our mind is so conditioned to be focusing on like what's on the news, driving to work, like going to the grocery store. Like we don't have time to focus on these things, and to just or even to just like go into the forest and look at the water, and just have that kind of experience where we're cutting ourselves off from like the matrix, as it were. All those things are going to help to build your energy. A big part of it is learning to focus. And so something that you can do is like if you're like one of those people, you're like, oh, I would love to be able to do this, but I can't focus, I can't meditate. What you want to do is find something that you like doing that teaches you focusing. So maybe that's like putting together a puzzle, something that is like a focused activity, or reading a book, like a special spiritual book where you turn off your phone and don't have other distractions, and you focus on just doing that. So it's kind of like the opposite of our like constant multitasking, and trying to combat that in a backward sort of way. But when we do that, it makes us become aware of our energy. And when you become aware of your energy, you might notice like, oh, I have like problems in my heart chakra. Like when I'm meditating, I like feel like a pain like in my heart chakra area. What does that mean? Like maybe there's some traumas that I'm carrying with me, and I need to do like the shadow work that comes from working with the dark arts, where we get really deep into the darkness, and it pulls up all the darkest atavisms of ourselves, that we have to face and grow and heal from. And that's like a big part of what we do. Like, we overcome addiction and things like that through our work with the spirits to refine ourselves. And also doing this helps to show the world around us that like we're a good example of like trying to be at one with alternative spirituality, but that doesn't mean that we're actually evil. What's evil is the world that's trying to control people and cut them off from their gifts, like our power that we have.
I agree. We are so conditioned to act a certain way and be a certain way. And I think even children, when are little, they have those gifts, they can use them, but they're suppressed by the system. People don't want them to use those gifts, and they're ostracized and made fun of. What do you think happens when we pass through the veil, when we draw our last breath and it's all over?
I love that you asked me that because that's a big part of my training from my Agora teacher because it's all about the death current, of course, right? And I'm really fascinated by this. And so um, I really like what the yogis teach about this, and I do this from a left-hand path perspective of loving the dark goddess and also of not fearing like the human things like sexuality and all those kind of things that people would deem evil and uh I think that when you die, so a big part of the training that I go through involves dying. And so the yogis believe that what you think about when you die is what happens to you. And there's really two main paths. There's the path of the sun and the path of the moon. So in the path of the sun, that's like let's say there's an entity that you're devoted to, like let's say it's Baphomet, for example. And if you think about Baphomet at the point of when you die, you can go to the dimension of Baphomet. But this is, of course, an extreme to know, be able to have the control of what you focus on at your point of death. Like that is the purpose of all this meditation and all this training is to be able to train yourself, to train your mind of to what to think about when you die. And then the path of the moon is what normally happens to people because the moon is connected to our ancestors and our karmic reincarnation. So in what they believe is that we will reincarnate among the similar souls that we knew in our past life for particular karmic reasons that we have to work through. And this is something that I definitely like know from my own personal experience to be true because I've had these experiences. I know people from my past life. I've had memories and I've been able to confirm with people about things and discover stuff that I couldn't have just made up that's like documented. It's pretty amazing when you actually start learning about this. But that's also a big part of the training through meditation and yoga is to discover your past lives and understand like, okay, what did I do before? What can I do now to be more in control over my mind? Because that's what it is. It's like that's the battle, that's the war, that's the main message behind the Bhagavad Gita, which is like one of the main important Vedic scriptures, where it's like it's a battle. Everything is a battle every day. And so with most people, when they die, they might think about like their lover, or they might think about like their son or something like that, and their family. And so they're going to go back or they might just be like afraid and then they come back and because there's more for them to learn from and grow. And then of course there's what they call like the bodhisattvas, which are like people that are advanced spiritual teachers who choose to come back to the world to try to help elevate people and teach them about things. Oh, and then also I also, just in terms of what do I think happens to people when they die, as a like as a necromancer, and especially after, living in New Orleans and how haunted it is there and everything, and just the other place that I've lived. I also believe that like there is an energetic resonance. Like if somebody were to die in like a traumatic way, or if they have like some intense desire or emotions, like all of that can make an energetic imprint in the space. So this often can be related to incubus or succubus phenomenon that happen to people, where there might be a spirit that's connected to their home or the land, or maybe an object they brought into the home or connected to them, and it like has this energetic impression. Essentially, the person in another dimension starts interacting with them, and this can go in a number of ways, but uh, when it goes awry, this kind of spirit becomes what I like to call like the feral dead, where they become even more like demonic, and can have these kind of disturbing encounters with people that people talk about. And so all of that has to do with like the energy of like the ecosystem around you. And we all have the energy of the dead around us all the time because of where we live, whoever lived there before, those imprints energetically, and then also the energy of the spirits of our ancestors that are connected to us, that help guide us. And some of the things that I learned in my training in hoodoo, it is how like the energy of the dead can get like restless around you. So one really great way to make peace in your home would be to make a little shrine or altar to your ancestors, and empower them with the elements, maybe give them some food, put water there to help like filter the energy. And that makes a big difference because there's always um, other energies around you, and it's usually the dead.
I read a statement that said the secret to life is to love and be loved. What do you feel about that?
I think that's
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do, because everything just becomes easier when we do that. And a big part of what I've learned from spirituality is that everything is connected. Like every one of us are connected, and like, in a sense, we are God. Everything is coming out of us. And so if people were to look at everyone around them as if they were part of themselves and just exist in as much love as possible, we can evade a lot of problems. But unfortunately, that's in many ways, like that's almost one of the hardest things to do in the modern world, because everything is set up to try to trigger people into hating one another, and causing all these problems, and to being overstimulated from like, watching 100 TikToks over and over, and then your energy gets all frazzled up, and all this stuff with like the instant gratification. It's just it's very difficult to do that. But yeah, I definitely I like that a lot.
So, what advice would you have for someone that is they're kind of lost right now? They don't know exactly what they're looking for, but they're searching. What what advice would you have?
So the first thing that I would say is this is probably one of the biggest problems in the world today. And that's because we are living in a system that's not designed in our favor, and it will cause people to have these existential crises. And people, it's very normal for people to have this kind of problem. Like the people who come to me and get consultations from me, it's usually this, like they don't know what to do. And so what you should do is um, ask. the universe to try to help you know what to do. Like it's okay to ask for some inspiration. The first thing that you would want to do is just like literally just focus on your health and try to mitigate, like if you're doing things that you know are unhealthy, take care of that first. That's definitely what you should do first. You always want to try to build yourself up from a good, healthy, and stable foundation. So do what you can. And then also think about like, who are you around? Are you around people that are inspiring you? And are you around people who have lives that like you want your life to be like their life? And if you don't have that, then that's what you should try to do is to find that because we can elevate one another. And even if it's someone online, like I live in the middle of nowhere, so most of my friends are people online, and but we inspire one another and teach one another, and that's really the advantage of living in this time too. So really focusing on what you have control over first and following the synchronicities of the signs of the universe guiding you. That's the biggest aspect of Lucifer's messages, which is the spirit world is connected to us and it wants us to evolve. It wants us to go through these alchemies. It wants us to learn from our karmas and to get to the next level of our ascension, of understanding the spirit world and the infernal or whatever it is that you're doing. So it wants to help guide you. So if you can open yourself up to just being able to notice things around you, start journaling if you have something significant that happens. Like what I was talking about in my last video, if you're seeing things like repeated numbers or like something that keeps popping up that seems weird, but you don't really know like what does it mean? What it means is pay attention to what were you just thinking about or doing when that happened. And then that's the spirit world saying, like, hey, pay attention to that. You need to do something with that or about that. That's going to take you to the next thing. Following these little miracles and signs will actually take you on the path of your true will. And a big part of that is um, if there's too much obstacles in your way, then it's probably a sign that that's not the thing that you should do. The things that you should do should be, they should come to you easily. And maybe you're getting in your own way by how you have your life set up, by the people that you're around, by the little choices that you're making through your day. Focus on that. And then the spirits will literally guide you to things being better if you have aligned yourself with them. Like if you're a spiritual seeker, if you're trying to get the gnosis of Satan, the light of Lucifer to guide you, it will come into your life and guide you, but you have to just allow yourself to not constantly be distracting yourself with stimulations and just be open to just existing and paying attention to like everything going on around you.
So, one last thing I wanted to ask is how long have you read tarots and how did you become familiar with that? How did you learn that? Was it a gift or was it something that you developed?
I Yes. The tarot was one of the very first things that I learned how to do, like as a witch. I learned it when I was 18. I'm 34, so I've been doing it since then. And I got, I actually still do tarot readings for people with the same tarot deck that I've had since I was 18. It's the Thoth deck from Aleister Crowley. And I also do teach people tarot. There is a video course on my website that I designed for people that are into witchcraft that want to learn tarot. So we learn how to read the cards through any deck. And then also how to use the cards for rituals, and a lot of different things like spirit summoning. And you just have to practice. It's literally about get a deck that you like and just start practicing. It can be very daunting to be like, oh, I got to remember like what all these cards mean and all this stuff, but that's not what you should do. Just you will learn what the things mean over time. The thing that's the most important is, what does that card make you think and feel when you look at it without trying to think too hard? That's really like the best way to train your psychic abilities, is like, don't think too hard about it. What are you thinking about right away? Just let yourself like flow with that psychic message without getting in your own way, and try that out for yourself. Like a great way to start is just get a deck that you really like, shuffle it up, pick a card every day, think about what it means, and then see how your day was. And that's your divination for the day. And then you develop like a symbiotic relationship with your tarot deck where you can just really sense it. I made up like my own little prayer that I do over the cards, that you can do like before you shuffle it. And yeah, it just literally takes practice. But I did put all of my teachings on tarot magic in a video course on my website, as well as the succubus and incubus course. All that stuff is there for people. They're many hours long, and they're a professional class. I'm not wearing a cosplay during them. They're a really nice professional classes, and it helps people learn how to be tarot readers. So I've helped a lot of people start their own tarot business, or just they want to learn how to read for themselves or use the cards in rituals. But it literally just takes practice and learning to trust your own intuition over time. And it was just something that my teacher told me to start doing as the first thing when I got into occultism, and that it really just stuck with me because the readings that I do for people help them a lot, and that makes me feel really good. So I want to just keep doing that for people.
Wonderful. So, what
Thank you.
is the best way to contact you if someone wants a reading or if they are interested in your courses?
Sure. So my website is where all those things are located. So you can book a reading with me or check out my video courses and look at my spell work. My website is motherofabominations.com. So people can find that there, or you can also check out my YouTube channel called Cyber Witch as well. And I'm also doing a workshop with my boyfriend, John Vermillion, on October 10th on occult meditation. So if people would like to join the workshop, you can get a ticket for it on his website, thevioletgateway.com.
Good. And I'll put those links in the
Thanks.
description. So we've got those. Is there anything else that you would like to let people know about?
There are going to be a lot more changes coming, and a lot of probably like weird things that are going to start coming out more and more in the media. So just do what you can to be that force of strength for your friends and your family. And know that, like, just what you were saying, Aleister, that, like, love makes everything easier. So try to have that at your heart center behind everything you do, and try to be a good example for the world around you, because people are really sick. They do really need help. They're getting really lost in all these really strange things that are replacing their spirituality with all kinds of really bizarre things and trying to just cause conflict here and there. But just stay strong in what you know to be true and real, and everything will get easier from there.
Good advice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me on Samhain, Halloween. This is another great year. So I wish you the very, very best, and I wish everyone watching the very best. And until next time, Ave Satanas.